Welcome to the VEROSCOPE analysis of Wendi Adelson's emergency phone calls to her mother, which she did from the police station on the day of the murder when Dan Markel was shot in the head twice. If you're new to the case, this is Wendi, and this is her mother who has recently been convicted of the murder of Dan. And yesterday we did the analysis of her speech to the judge, which was quite a thing, and her husband's speech to the judge, where they were accusing the judge of being biased. They were accusing the jury of being biased. Listen to those; they are quite fascinating. This is the lady in question, Donna. So we're going to be listening to her daughter. Here is her daughter calling Donna from the police station. And we're going to be looking at the forensic linguistics and determining whether or not we see evidence that Wendi is involved in the crime, knew about the hit on her ex-husband, and is potentially the mastermind. So we're going to be running through all the different tells that she has and the deceptive patterns which we will show today. And if you stay to the end of the presentation, I think you'll agree with me that we have evidence that she is indeed involved and evidence that she was indeed the controller or the mastermind of the operation. So that's my opinion. Let's see what she has to say for herself.
Okay, here it goes. This is the worst day of my life. Maybe I should text them if I can't reach them. Hi, Mom. How's it going? Mom, I need you to sit down. I am fine. The boys are fine. I need you to sit down. I'm fine, and the boys are fine. Danny has been. You can put me on speaker. Yeah. Danny has been shot. And I don't think he's gonna make it. And so I know. So I found this out around 1 or 2 today, and I'm at the police station, and I'm trying to help them figure out who may have done this. The boys are fine. I had Lynn and Alan pick them up from school, and they're with Lynn and Alan right now. And I'm gonna leave here soon and go be with them, but I really need you to come here and be with me. But I want you to either fly, obviously you can't leave right now, but I need you to get yourself together. If it's too much to drive, I'd really rather that you flew up. I'm at the police station, and I'm gonna leave soon and be with the boys before they go to bed. They're with Alan and Lynn, and they're totally fine. Yeah, the boys are fine, but they don't know anything yet. In his house, I know. So I just need you to calm down before you get in the car, okay? Okay, so, and it's evening, so if you want to come here tomorrow, I have a lot of people that'll, be here with me, and, we'll have a lot of support. So I want you to take your time and just be safe in getting here, but I'd like you to come when you can, okay? Yeah. Okay, all right. I love you. I think Jane might, I have the car here, but Jane might take me. I'm not going to be alone, so I have a lot of support, and I'll be fine. But yeah, if you could just come here, that would be great. He's in the ICU in the hospital. Okay, but be careful, okay? Okay. 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 Love you too. Bye. Mom. Oh.
You did awesome with that call.
Thanks.
You were so stressed out about it, and you handled it.
I just wanted you. I talked to Alan. Okay, and just because my suggestion to him, just because we don't know what's going on, was if he goes to the house.
Sorry, my mom might be calling back because she heard me. Mom? You did, yeah. I just wanted to ask if you could just tell Charlie for me. I just don't want to be making calls right now, so if you could just tell Charlie for me, that would be great. Okay, and just, like, it's on the news a little bit that there was a shooting on Trescott, and so I'm starting to get a lot of calls, and I'm not going to be answering them unless they're from you, so I would really try not to tell anybody what's going on just yet, just because, like, he's in the hospital, and Charlie, I talked to Charlie earlier today, obviously before any of this happened. Like, I talked to him at like 10 this morning, and he said that he was coming to visit you guys this weekend, and he had plans, and he sounded good. I just can't, Mom. So can you just tell him? Yeah, just tell him for me, and then I'm sure I'll talk to him soon. But I don't want to be on the phone unless I have to right now. Okay? Okay. All right. Love you too. Bye. My mom handled that pretty well. Could you hear her?
Yeah. I think, because you're a mama, but moms always go in that natural instinct to kind of protect and help and...
Okay, so let's analyze what she has said, and we'll break it down forensic linguistically. Just before we do that, you might have noticed that she touches her head at the moment of describing what's happened to Dan. And when she mentions Charlie, both times when she mentions Charlie, she starts to cover her mouth with her hand. But let's concentrate on the forensic linguistics rather than the body language. So what do we have as an executive summary? This forensic linguistic analysis, in my opinion, reveals multiple deception indicators and consciousness of guilt markers throughout Wendi Adelson's phone calls, the two of them, to her mother from the police station. The analysis identifies coded, in my opinion, communication patterns, priority inversions, and strategic information management consistent with prior knowledge and coordination with the convicted co-conspirators. So let's analyze how we came to that conclusion. The 5 most damning patterns, and then we'll go through her phone calls sentence by sentence. She uses the word tell. I think this shows her in control. I think this shows her command of the operation. Tell Charlie for me. Can you just tell him? Just tell him for me. She is ordering. She is commanding. It's firm and it is assertive. And bear in mind, this woman, Wendi, has been crying, shaking, shivering, hyperventilating, acting like she's an 11-year-old girl on purpose to invoke the paternal attitude in the detective. And yet here she is in command, and only once does she remember to pretend her little act, where her voice breaks a little bit. However, she's not asking, she is commanding, and in a genuine tragedy, a daughter seeks comfort from her mother. Here, Wendi issues directives. She's running the operation, she's managing communications, and she's controlling the narrative. This is the language of a person in charge. We also have a negative pattern. What I don't or won't do. I don't even know, I don't think, they don't know anything yet. Talking about the children. However, this is an interesting linguistic pattern. They don't know anything yet. I don't want to be making calls. I just can't right now. When we see a lot in the negative, in forensic linguistics and statement analysis as a principle, we see that as doubly important. Especially here, I don't think he's going to make it. So we put in a deceptive flag, noting that we've got a large amount in the negative. She says, obviously. This is a need to persuade. She says, I talked to Charlie earlier today, obviously, before any of this happened. Think about this. This is a need to persuade. It's a need for alibi. Her ex-husband has just been shot and she's talking to her mother. She's aware of the cameras and she's aware that she's being listened to. And if you noted at the end of the call, what's her priority? Could you hear? Could you hear what's being said? She's always fishing for intelligence. Analysis of this sentence. It's only obvious the call was before the murder if you're conscious there's an after to worry about. Obviously, I spoke to Charlie before the murder. Her consciousness of guilt brings out this word. Can you see? We wouldn't see this pattern unless the person had consciousness of guilt and needed to alibi themselves and Charlie. The word obviously reveals she's persuading us of Charlie's alibi and her own, in effect. She's answering an accusation that hasn't been made yet. We'll cover this later in section 9. This happened. Now, this is only important in conjunction with the entire sentence. But as a learning opportunity, when we see words like this versus that, this is psychologically closer. This pen rather than that pen. Do you see? So in conjunction with her alibi architecture in the sentence, and this happened, which is slightly passive anyway, we see this sentence as consciousness of guilt. So we have command of the operation and consciousness of guilt and alibi architecture very quickly in the call. We also have passive voice. Now remember, individual flags that we note when marking up a document in forensic linguistics don't mean anything per se. So we look for clusters of deception or deceptive markers or flags before we begin to say the statement in itself is deceptive. And then, of course, we can start to work out what parts and why. So here we have passive voice. So we put in a deceptive marker. Danny has been shot. There's no actor. It's the car seat was moved. The gun went off. Danny has been shot. There's no, Mum, someone shot Danny. That's that sort of innocent phraseology that we would expect to hear. Instead, we've got the commander imparting information unconsciously using passive voice for avoidance. Conceal. It's concealment language when we see passive voice in this situation. People in the comments have said, is it the subconscious or the unconscious? Well, the area of the brain, which is mainly the broca, although there are some other areas partly responsible for language selection, but it's mainly the broca, that is unconscious. So we have 40,000 words approximately to choose from. If you're educated, perhaps a little bit more, perhaps a little bit less, but approximately 40,000 words. And at conversational speed that I'm talking to you now, I cannot pick the individual words. It's happening at the unconscious level, rapidly. So the words she picks are important. So the 5 patterns reveal command, control, coordination, and consciousness of guilt. We have the linguistic signature of, in my opinion, the actual mastermind, not the victim. The person who wanted her ex-husband dead and organized it with her family through manipulation and gaslighting, in my opinion. And I believe the linguistics back that up. So, we have the selective brother, the most damning evidence. Only the guilty brother gets an alibi. I believe Wendi has 2 brothers. The other brother, who by the way was never charged and is innocent, he's not mentioned at all. There's no emotional state needed for him, no timeline required, no defensive positioning, no communication issues. He doesn't exist in this crisis in Wendi's mind. The convicted brother, Charlie, we have specific call of the time, 10 this morning. In this one phone call, or 2 phone calls actually to her mother, because her mother calls back, we have the emotional state. He sounded good. We have the weekend plans established. We have the alibi architecture being produced on the phone call because she knows we're listening. Obviously, before any of this happened, it's unnecessary, and it's consciousness of guilt, and its need to persuade. We have all sorts of deceptive markers just in the one sentence. She says, I can't, she doesn't want to speak to her co-conspirator. I can't, Mum. I just can't. We also have cognitive overload. But, that's all over the place with the stutters. So, this selective protection pattern reveals consciousness of guilt with surgical precision. You cannot get any more categoric than this and this. Innocent, guilty. The commander is only interested in her co-conspirator. Again, all of this is my opinion, and all of this is backed up with the evidence that I'm presenting. She knew who needed protection because she knew who was involved. An innocent person would either mention both brothers or neither, or the family as a whole. But she's very specific on the one call. And we'll look at the code, which I believe she uses, in a second. In emergency phone calls, the FBI have a number of aspects to indicate whether or not we have a truthful call. Now, this isn't a 911 call, but it's an emergency call of a type to her mother under this traumatic situation. Hi, Mum, how's it going? So we have a greeting violation. This isn't normal. Hi, Mum. How's it going? Oh, by the way, Dan's been shot. Wrong. So this is a violation of the FBI's rules, if you like, for how calls should go. Mum, I need you to sit down. I am fine. The boys are fine. I believe this was the prearranged code because they knew she was going to be in the police station and they knew that she would make a phone call as soon as possible and they knew that it would be probably being recorded or in front of officers. And we'll go into the evidence as to why I believe this is code in a second. I am fine. The boys are fine. And look at the priority. Hi, Mum, how's it going? Is the priority. Mum, I need you to sit down. I am fine. The boys are fine. So in genuine emergencies, callers will most often, again, remember, we put in the flags. Individual flags don't mean anything per se, so we look for the clusters. But here we have most callers would state the crisis. They don't ingratiate, and they don't ask, how's it going? The casual greeting is a profound violation of expected emergency communication patterns. Look at the order. I'm fine. What's her priority? What a narcissistic. And you can finish the sentence. Her first priority is, I am fine. Her second priority, the boys are fine. And her third priority, if at all, Danny has been shot. This is essentially communicating that the operation has been a success. The victim's shooting is mentioned third. The boys are fine. I believe this is coded communication. It's said so much. She's determined to get the communication nailed. I am fine. The boys are fine. The boys are fine. We also have cognitive load here. They're with Alan and Lynn, and they're totally fine. The boys are fine, but they don't know anything yet, and I think this could be possible leakage. The boys are fine, but they don't know anything yet. Can you see how this language doesn't sit right with me? The excessive repetition, particularly the stuttered version showing extreme cognitive stress. We have to take into account trauma. We have to balance things. She's in a police station. However, it's too extreme. The excessive repetition indicates this phrase carries coded meaning. Now consider, we've got her mother has just been convicted, given a life sentence without the possibility of parole, and 2 30-year sentences on top of that to run concurrently. We are looking at code, operational code, from the commander, in my opinion. Given the convictions of both recipients, including who's important to her in terms of priority, her brother Charlie, also convicted. This appears operational confirmation that the children are secured and the plan regarding them was executed, as was Dan. The Charlie focus, establishing alibis. And Charlie, I talked to Charlie earlier today. Obviously, before any of this happened, Like I talk to him, and here we have a deceptive marker, and also it's sensitive, so it's repeated twice. Normally we would mark this in pink to make it easy for us to see the sensitivity. I talked to him at like 10 this morning, so we have time. Obviously before this happened. And he said that he was coming to visit you guys this weekend, and he had plans and he sounded good. Obviously before any of this happened, answering an unasked question. Like I talked to him at like 10 this morning, specific time for the alibi. And here we have the sensitivity repetition. He had plans and he sounded good. We look at unnecessary detail, unnecessary language in statement analysis. And so we're seeing deception, and in would go the marker. Also, we look at cognitive overload. In goes the marker. Already we can see, and in statement analysis, we could determine that the statement in itself is deceptive. Why this matters? The word obviously reveals consciousness of guilt. It's only obvious that the call was before the murder if you're thinking about establishing an alibi. An innocent person wouldn't think to establish Charlie's pre-murder timeline. Yeah, obviously, Mum. So the Charlie communication pattern provides a specific time, 10 this morning, establishes his normal plans, confirms his emotional state, but refuses, because she doesn't want to land herself in it any further than she already is, and I believe she's deeply in it. I just can't, Mum. And she only wants Mum to communicate with Charlie. Her other brother, her innocent brother, is removed entirely from the statement. It's not a coincidence. This is communication of the success of the operation to one of the other guilty people involved in the killing of Dan. And she needs that other guilty person to act as the intermediary for the message to the other co-conspirator. Section 4, location and monitoring awareness. Wendi repeatedly emphasizes, I'm at the police station. This is a warning. We're being monitored, recorded. This is why they will have pre-planned the coded communication. I'm where expected. Try not to tell anybody what's going on just yet. She's managing information flow. This is a woman who was pretending to be hyperventilating and 11 years old to the detective. But here we have operational control and managing information flow. Then at the end of the call, the performance review, I've called it. Wendi, my mum handled that pretty well. Could you hear her? She's constantly fishing to the advocate. She's manipulating the advocate. She's gaslighting the advocate. I believe earlier in the police interview, she's attempted to say that she has the same skirt. Aren't her eyes pretty? They're the same colour blue as hers. You could be my sister. All this sort of manipulation going on. And then fish for intelligence, fish for intelligence, fish for intelligence. It's called elicit. It's actually a skill. Wendi shows a reasonable level of the skill. It's called elicitation for intelligence. And she's using practice technique to do that. Perhaps she learned it in her job as a lawyer, I don't know. But she uses elicitation skills against the advocate. Here is an example of that. She's not really interested in much, but apart from obtaining from the advocate her suspect status. And here, her priority after the phone call, could you hear her? In fact, if you can make out some of the call, please do say in the comments what you hear Donna say. That would be really interesting to further analyze. So we have critical consciousness of guilt. An innocent person's priority after informing their mother of a family tragedy would focus on the mother's emotional well-being. Mum handled that pretty well. Could you hear her? It's not her mother's emotional well-being. Her mother is a co-conspirator in the murder of Dan. It's the fact that she didn't give too much of the game away and handled the call like they'd planned. That's what she's really saying. The travel safety concerns. Be careful, she says, but it's not to do with the travel safety concerns. It's a message to the killer, to the organizer of the murder. Be careful. It's nothing to do with travel concerns. I mean, she played the grandmother part, didn't she, Donna? But don't forget, at the time of the killing, she was 64, something like that, I read in the comments, and living the good life. She wasn't an old granny. Okay. We also have distancing language. Around 1 or 2, slightly vague. At like 10 this morning, vague as well. But the precision about Charlie's call time versus the vagueness about learning of the shooting reveals what actually matters psychologically to Wendi. So let's see if we can determine what was said at the other end of the phone. But we do have missing elements, in my opinion. So the linguistic proof, boys are fine, children secured per plan. I'm at the police station, being questioned as expected. Charlie at 10 a.m., the alibi architecture. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't seen my earlier police interview analysis, do go back and look at those, because we see in the different sections, we see her alibi architecture being established, and then immediately preceding that, we see the suspect architecture being fed to the detective in a pre-planned way, from establishing her alibi at first to then feeding the suspects. And guess who she feeds as the suspects? Her brother and her mother, her entire family, and everyone she knows, including her lawyer. Highly manipulative, highly narcissistic, quite an incredible person, in fact. So, remember, we're going to talk about section 9, the obviously confession. The phrase obviously before any of this happened, she says. This is an embedded admission. It's only obvious the morning call was before if you're conscious there's an after to worry about. And let's bear in mind, Charlie is a convicted criminal now, as is her mother. This isn't guessing. This is communication with one of the convicted killers. I talked to Charlie this morning, obviously, before any of this happened. This, I believe, if the grand jury bring Wendi to trial and the prosecutor, who, if you know about, I've seen clips, she looks extremely good and talented. I believe if we dissect every part of the transcripts of the previous trials where she didn't have immunity, I believe that there is sufficient evidence to convict, in my opinion. So we have all sorts of things, from the coded repetitions to priority inversions to "Hi mum, how's it going?" The alibi establishment, the performance awareness, the entire performance during the previous police questioning. Got information management, distancing language, missing emotional responses, the refusal pattern, won't court. She doesn't want to land herself in it more with one of the co-conspirators, the refusal pattern. So I think this forensic linguistic analysis reveals multiple overlapping indicators of prior knowledge of the murder, consciousness of guilt regarding family involvement, coded communication with convicted co-conspirators, active management of family responses under police observation, and strategic alibi creation for Charlie. The linguistic evidence, particularly when considered alongside the subsequent convictions of both core recipients, reveals a coordinated family response to an expected police investigation rather than genuine shock or unexpected strategy. That's the VEROSCOPE analysis. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to be analysing the most pertinent parts of the trials. I'll be looking at some of those tomorrow and choosing which parts to analyse. If she's arrested shortly, we'll obviously, I suspect certain law enforcement are looking at her travel plans. Her mother tried to escape, didn't she, to a jurisdiction where she might have been safe. So I imagine Wendi is under surveillance. So I look forward to chat with you in the comments. And please do give any further information that you've got or anything that you heard on the call which I haven't covered so far. In particular, what you hear Donna say. Okay, let's chat in the comments.